Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion is a book that I read very recently, and I was like instantly blown away. So Robert Cialdini, what he does is, discusses the 6 aspects or 6 weapons of influence that he, as he calls it, to ensure that, people are flocking to your website or flocking to your business or flocking to your marketing campaign and then buying stuff from you, right? Use these techniques or use these weapons well, you will ensure that you are making a lot of money. If not, you'll end up paying for businesses that use these 6 techniques well. So what are those techniques? So I created like an acronym called SSALEE. It's called the SALE technique, as I would call it, because it helps you sell more. I don't know if it makes sense, I made it up. So the first one, the first weapon that Robert Cialdini discusses is called the social proof, right? So social proof is not new in the marketing world. And why does it work? Because when we're really unsure about anything, we look for people to see, hey, who is with me on this journey, right? So this is the reason you would see, let's say you're walking on a mall, or let's say you're going by the street, you see, a few street performers, and you suddenly stop there. Probably try the social experiment the next time. So you stop with a couple of your friends. Let's say you folks are 3 or 4 people. 5 or 10 minutes down the line, you will have like a few more people joining you, and before you know it, you will have a big crowd surrounding that performer. This is true for any happening that happens around us, and this is because of the underlying psychology that as humans we always look for validation, right? So what is happening here? When you and your friends are stopping to look at a performer, the people passing by think that, oh, maybe these folks are kind of standing there and seeing this, so maybe there is something that's good happening there. Oh, maybe I don't want to be missing out on that. So that is why you see a lot of the websites in the modern world, be it e-commerce, be it any software, or be it any D2C product, you see that it's filled with a lot of testimonials. Because when you see that, okay, a lot more people have already bought a product, you wouldn't mind putting in your money in there. So social proof really works very well. And since we are speaking about D2C brands and buying online, the next big weapon is scarcity. So scarcity, I think, we are all in the modern world. If you've been online, shopping online, there is very little chance that you haven't seen these beeps coming in saying the offer is ending in very limited time, or you have this 10% off that is running out real soon, or there are only few of the favorite shoes or jeans or denims that are left in stock and things like that. I think Amazon was a pioneer in this, where they created this fear of missing out, that hey, if you're not going to be buying this product now, you're never going to get it. Probably you'll have to wait for a few more days until we restock and things like that. And this is the reason you have like a lot of these discount days that are running across the globe, or at least in India we have these stuff called the Big Billion Days, where people are kind of flocking e-commerce websites to ensure that they get the best deal every time it happens. So why does this really work, the scarcity principle? The scarcity principle works because as humans, we are tuned to think we want the best of every little thing, right? So if there is a sale, I want to ensure that I have a say in it. So use scarcity well, you can make a lot of money. But what I see is a lot of these websites have these fake sales. All the best with making that work. But if you're someone who uses this really well, I'm sure people are going to flock. So that brings us to the third weapon, which is the authority or the perceived authority, right? So, people are far more likely to comply with you or the product that you sell if you are a voice that they can respect with. And why does this work, you might ask? Because from the childhood, we are always taught to respect and kind of be obedient to authoritative figures, right? It could be teachers, it could be parents, it could be elders or anyone, but we are conditioned to think that hey, someone with authority, we should always respect them and comply to what they say. So how could this be put into practice? Probably, let's say you're running a business, so if you could become a voice that people could respect, that people could trust, anything that you sell, people are going to flock. So that's why you would see like a lot of people, a lot of B2B brands especially, they try to kind of create this category creation as it is called, to ensure that their voice is loud and clear and they become the voice of that category, right? So there is this whole new marketing play that's coming up, but I would say if you can become the authority in the space that wherever you're operating in, there are far more likely that people will buy from you. So that brings us to the next one, which is the liking, right? Just close your eyes and let's think about all the brands that you really love, or all the purchases that you've made in the last let's say 6 months or 1 year, right? So if possible, just do drop in the last purchase that you made in person, if not online. But one thing that you would consistently see is a good or a bad experience with a particular brand or a product will ensure that you don't go back to them again, right? While an aspect of this is to do with the customer experience or the kind of experience that you've had with them, it is also to do with a lot of our decisions, buying decisions especially, is to do with whether we like the person that we are dealing with, right? So how does this translate to in the real life? So I want to recall a small incident about a gym membership that I took like two and a half years back. And I was exploring gyms in various areas, and there was the salesperson who comes up to me and says, "Oh, you work in the tech sector? Oh, you work in product marketing?" You know what? I was a product marketer myself before I joined in here, and he kind of started developing these small talks to kind of bring that sense of familiarity. And you know what, even though the gym was not the best in class in terms of facilities or other things that I was looking for, I did end up subscribing to that gym like around 2-3 years back, and eventually did end up changing. But because of the likability factor that he brought in during the conversation, I ended up buying it, right? So I myself fell prey to this. So that's why you would see a lot of salespeople try to kind of familiarize themselves with you in terms of your likings, in terms of your taste, in terms of your habits and things like that, because you feel like you're not buying from someone else, but you're buying from someone who is who looks like you or who is very, very similar to you. The fifth weapon is escalating commitments. So what does this mean? So I want to again speak about a small anecdotal example to make the point in case about escalating commitments and why this is like a very, very big weapon in the psychology of persuasion. So, a few days back, I told a couple of my friends that I'm going to be writing for 100 straight days on my blog, praveenramesh.com. And guess what I started doing? I did write for 100 days. So I put this out publicly and I started writing for 100 days. And then post that, a couple of my friends asked me, "Hey, why don't you publish that as an ebook and things like that?" And I was kind of very, very hesitant to do that. But upon reflecting, I'm not someone who's a very natural writer, and it's not an activity that I very, very actively enjoy. But still, I wanted to try it out as an experiment, and I realized that one of the major reasons that I wanted to complete that 100-day challenge was to ensure that I stuck onto the word that I gave to a couple of my friends, or like a challenge that I gave to them, right? Because I feel that complying with these commitments, establishing these commitments and completing them will ensure that they start trusting me more, right? This is one of the reasons that I keep posting, because I want to gain the trust of my audience and all those sort of things. So how a lot of salespeople end up using these techniques is they ask you for a small favor before they ask for a big favor. So let me give you an example in the real world, right? So a lot of times, a lot of content creators or a lot of people, they ask you to sign up for a small free webinar, right? So, and then they use that webinar to upsell a great product that they have, right? For example, a lot of B2B companies, the space that I work in, they give you like a free ebook about a problem that you have, and then once you have read that book, you find value, they ask you to come for a demo. So they make you comply to a small request, and once you agree to that, they ask for a bigger commitment from you, and more often than not, you would end up complying to that because you want to stay consistent with the word that you have given, right? So this is like an intangible aspect of commitment that a lot of salespeople and marketers like myself kind of tap to ensure that we make money for our businesses. The sixth one is exchange or reciprocity, right? It's called the reciprocity, but I wanted to name it as exchange to fit with the acronym of E. So exchange is the one where you feel like you owe someone because they did something in return for you, right? I would like to quote the example of a car service garage that I go to, where I go leave the car for service. They do a lot of value add on top of the normal service itself. For example, there was this one time where they did like a polish to my car. There was one time where they gifted a keychain and like a small neck pillow of my favorite club. There was this one time where they gifted me this perfume, and guess what happened? every single time I ended up going to the same car dealership, because every time they give me something, I always feel like I have to return this favor to them, and I go end up giving this my car service to them every single time. So the law of reciprocity, or the law of exchange as we call it in this video, always works, and you can ensure that you're giving a ton of value before you ask something from your audience, right? You would see a lot of content creators like myself also do this, where they give content for like good periods of time. They've given like probably like 203 value over 200, 300, 400 videos, and then when they launch a course, you have people flocking, because a lot of people feel that, hey, I have drawn a lot of value from this person, so a $9 PDF or $100 course is not going to be like a big ask given the amount of value that I have drawn from this particular content creator. So this is how it is used in real life. So use these 6 weapons of influence ethically, and you can always ensure that you make a ton of money for your business and yourself, and lead a much happier life. Do let me know what you thought of this video, and until I see you in the next video, this is Praveen Ramesh signing off.